And
one of the things that I thought that separated this year from previous years was, not just the diversity in the group, because there was that, but the diversity of things that did happen in theatre. I mean, there were some different things happening, like you talking about tap blocks, so you're talking about TIVA. I asked Dr. Tam and Dr. Guanon this year, so what do they see the purpose of this visit, or how do they see things going? And they said that every year when we come, it's not just that more children come to the hospital, but more people generally, people that are just from the streets, adults that turn up and want to be seen. So their clinics get busier. And I said, why is that? So it's just the idea that if Australians are coming to Lumdong Hospital, then Lumdong Hospital must be a good hospital, so they're going to turn up. And that during the time we hear that she thinks, she and Guanon think that the departments work better, that people are more friendly to each other, that they cooperate with each other. I don't really understand why that would be, but she believes that's what happens, and certainly Guanon believes that as well. And I said, well, it can't be simply us, and of course it can't be simply us.
Everybody comes out of their hidey hole a little bit, out of their snail house, and contributes a little bit more, and there's a little bit more outgoing. It's got a little opportunity for them to crack open a little bit more and break the daily routine of grumpiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like in nursing you perhaps have a local champion?
I think we definitely do have a local champion. In nursing at the moment, we've got a nurse who has been to university and done her Bachelor of Nursing, which she's the only one in theatres at the moment.
I think, some things are hard to change, and it would be hard if we expected them to change, like the kind of slapdash approach, living in the moment, That is just the culture, you just live more in the moment, don't plan that far. Yes, you do plan, you get a planning committee to plan ahead for you, but as an individual, it's not that. So the question is what you can change and what you can't, and really maybe you can only kind of lead by example and help with reminders.
It's interesting because I've found that with the nurse that I've been working with, she, even though she has these skills and that, she has had difficulty educating or offering these new ideas. That the majority of nurses they're at the moment are just set in their ways a little. So it's obviously just trying to find that way to open their eyes to it a bit more, or
or if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I enjoy the diversity of opinion in Australia, so it might be good for them to be exposed to that as well, but it might also be very confusing to them because they seem to be more of their upbringing. This is how it's being done, and I've tried to say to them that for me it was great to have that diversity of approaches and therefore the diversity of techniques and options when I get into a tricky situation. I know that Wang didn't translate a few things yesterday that I said, because it was culturally not appropriate. I tried to make it loud and garish and stimulating to stop them falling asleep, but some things were just too over the top. She refused to translate. So, whereas in Australia they wouldn't have been over the top at all. They would have been just almost expected engagement of the audience. Techniques. So,
Did you do the breast thing again?
No, I didn't. I don't know what's even tamer than that,
Right.
So
You'll have to fill me in on that later.
Last year I tried to explain to them how to do CPAP, and I was so frustrated they couldn't get it right. I said it's got to all the time feel like a woman's breast, you know, whether they're breathing in or out.
Yeah.
And then the skills picked up for a while, but obviously it didn't last the year or the distance, you know. So
and I tried to make a sort of serious comment that I'd like to spend more time, you know, in the ward, you know, talking with the nurses about things, and that got changed into I would like to spend more time with the nurses, and this one was single and so on. So I don't know if any of the serious part of my comment was understood or not understood.
and
In case you can't work out what's going on, I'm not going to explain.
there were 2 and 3 year old hernias in the other theatres in the last week that, you know, just happened without our input, you know, that's from A to Z.
Towards the middle of the second week, I always feel, I must say, pretty tired and sometimes frustrated by some of the things that happen here. And certainly there have been times, not this year, but there have been times when I've seriously questioned, what am I doing here? What's the point? What are we achieving? And that just happens, I think, because you're tired and you're in an unfamiliar environment, and the ways that things happen here are so incredibly different than the way they happen at home. Thinking that, you know, you have an agreement to do something with someone, and then finding out that, you know, you don't have that agreement, or that they didn't think you had the agreement, or that, you know, they're suddenly going to change things, or thinking that they're going to tell someone else because they're part of the group that's going to be involved, but they tell nobody else. What amount of time should we spend, you know, actually directly clinically?
I actually asked the nurses, like, did they know if I, you know, that I was doing a talk, and they're like, oh yeah, no. So where are you going? And they're like, oh, I don't know, you know. So it's like, I didn't hear any loud announcements or anything, but somehow the message got round for 100, you know, something nurses to turn up.
For my side of things, I've realised they've forgotten a lot over the year, and they're admitting to it as well. They're saying, oh, you know, I remember now while you're here, you know, but when you're gone, I forget again. So we've done a couple of videos to remind them that they can refer back to if they want to.
But you seem to have quite a bit of interest around you, and
yeah, you know? but we only get to explain to kind of like one person.
Yeah.
So for us, the time, you know, management perhaps could be better spent if in a workshop, if you got more people. Yes. But I think with more workshops, smaller workshops, more, you know, directed at certain people, then perhaps you could get that information out and not bore other people. If you do it, it means sacrificing the clinical stuff, and so is that a fair thing to do or not?
Maybe they're not adopting our techniques as much as we would like them to do that, you know. But what happens throughout the whole process is that they are more exposed to children, and therefore more comfortable when children coming along, and you know, the more comfortable you feel, the safer your practice becomes, you know.
Absolutely.
And we can certainly, you know, feel certain that they want us.
Yes.
Here, you know, they do want us here, you know.
Absolutely want.
Because I saw them last year when they said we may not be coming. I saw their faces drop, and that was a genuine.
You keep bringing that up.
Yeah, because it was a real key moment for me, you know, to see that 3 faces in front of me drop. You know, they were the 3 most influential people that we talked with, you know. Yeah. So that was genuine. I said to Lung, what do you want me to bring? And she said, bring yourself, you know. So next year, you know.
Oh, that's so sweet. She's sweet, isn't she? I'm telling Dad that.
Yeah. I hope you do.
dun, dun.